Today's show is brought to you by KSL Jobs. Whether you are looking for your next dream job or need to find the employee of your dreams, KSL Jobs is your partner to help those dreams come true. Go to ksl.com/jobs to get dreaming. And now, let's podcast.
This event will be a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity.
Welcome to the Beehive Podcast. My name is Clint Betts. On today's special episode, I talked to Utah's senior United States Senator, Orrin Hatch. Now in his 7th term as Utah's senator, Orrin Hatch is also the most senior Republican in the United States Senate. Hatch is the chairman of the Senate Committee on Finance. He's also a member and former chairman of the Judiciary Committee, a member and former chairman of the Senate Health, Education, Labor, and Pensions Committee, and a member of the Joint Committee on Taxation. He also serves on the board of directors for the Holocaust Memorial Museum in Washington, D.C. If you've lived in Utah for any amount of time, you know Senator Hatch. What you may not know is the work he's done for Utah's startup and tech community over the years. He's the reason folks like Salesforce CEO Mark Benioff, Amazon CEO Jeff Bezos, Facebook CEO Mark Zuckerberg, and this Friday, Apple CEO Tim Cook come to Utah to speak and engage with our community every year. He's been instrumental in getting a number of high-profile tech companies to open headquarters in Utah and has just always been an advocate and friend to Utah's startup and tech community. As mentioned, this Friday, Senator Hatch is bringing Apple CEO Tim Cook to Utah for UTC's Hall of Fame dinner. However, Senator Hatch is also doing an event and having a conversation on stage with Tim Cook right before that dinner that's free and open to the public. Domo CEO Josh James, Qualtrics CEO Ryan Smith, Pluralsight CEO Aaron Sconard, Vivint CEO Todd Peterson, and Women Tech Council President and founder Sydney Tetro will also be speaking briefly at that event. For more details and tickets, which are going fast and hard to get, visit utah.techtour.com. It was fun to catch up and speak with Senator Hatch leading up to this event about a number of issues, so without further ado, my conversation with Senator Hatch. Senator Hatch, thanks again so much for coming on the show. I really appreciate it. I know you're busy. I want to get right to the questions that I have for you. You recently introduced a bill called the Innovation for Tomorrow's Workforce Act of 2016 with the goal of improving STEM education in our schools. Why do you believe that is important, and what role do you think Utah companies can play to help in this effort?
Well, I visit with our Utah tech companies on a regular basis, and of course I go to Silicon Valley pretty regularly too. And the most common problem I hear from all of them is that they need more engineers, more mathematicians, more scientists. Companies come to Utah for our incredible business environment and capable workforce, but they need more engineers and programmers. Utah is pretty good in that regard because Brigham Young University, University of Utah, and Utah State in particular are very good engineering schools. But I filed a bill called the Innovation for Tomorrow's Workforce Act of 2016. And that bill is about supporting new creative ways to teach science, technology, engineering, and math to students, which would provide them with better pathways from the classroom to the workforce to compete in an increasingly competitive global economy. I've also been working for the last few years on the I-Squared Act. Now, this is a bill that I filed to fix our high-skilled visa program. We educate countless engineers at our universities in the United States. I just mentioned 3 Utah universities. And then we send them back home or off to other countries where they strengthen those economies and help create jobs there. I think that's foolish. We need to find ways to keep these engineers and high-skilled workers here at our own companies where they can continue to innovate and keep our companies competitive. Now, we know that these workers are not displacing American workers, although that's the claim of some who disagree. But they're not doing that because so many of these companies are actually having trouble finding engineers. In fact, by increasing the number of high-skilled workers, both by strengthening our own STEM education programs and by fixing high-skilled visa programs, we will see the creation of many more jobs in my state of Utah. I recently read a report that said there are nearly 2 open STEM jobs for every STEM applicant nationwide. By 2018, even if every single American master's or PhD graduate in science, technology, engineering, and math were to take a job in their field, the United States would still face a shortfall of more than 200,000 advanced degree STEM workers. Job postings for STEM jobs take longer to fill than non-STEM occupations, and U.S. companies face an immediate, ongoing, and growing inability to fill open jobs with solely U.S.-born talent. So many other countries have policies in place to attract highly educated individuals from around the globe in order to boost their economies. These are policies that try to grab our own American-educated PhDs. Canada even places ads and placed a billboard in the heart of Silicon Valley luring workers to move to Canada because we're so stupid. And I think we've got to change that. And I think we can turn this around, but we're going to have to be serious about it.
Well, we should put a Silicon Slopes billboard on out there in Silicon Valley and bring them to Utah.
Well, you know, we're doing a good job there in Utah. Our Silicon Slopes is becoming quite competitive, and it used to be that we developed these innovative approaches and patentable areas, and Silicon Valley had come up here and buy them out and take them back down there. Well, now we're starting to keep them in Utah, and we've got some very, very good companies there, startups and otherwise, and we're doing quite well.
Yeah, you've worked behind the scenes to bring just about every out-of-state big-name tech company to Utah, and I was actually just in Silicon Valley, and many people out there told me that over the years that you're revered. And because of all the number of things that you've done, both for the tech community, just kind of in general in the United States, and as well as Utah, why has building such strong relationships with Silicon Valley and the tech community been so important to you? And what impact do you think bringing those big tech companies to Utah has had on this state's economy in particular?
Well, on that last point, any state that doesn't want tech companies and techies all over the state is an idiotic state. So naturally, it helps to provide jobs and opportunities. But I like to build strong relationships with anyone I can. But in the tech community, I've had plenty of opportunities to work on areas of mutual interest in my role as chairman of the Senate Republican High Tech Task Force, chairman of the Senate Finance Committee. I was former chairman of the Senate Judiciary Committee and also former chairman of the Senate Health Committee, Health, Education, Labor, and Pensions, all of which, you know, have a role here. And in the past, as chairman of the Senate Judiciary Committee, and Silicon Valley is the innovation center of the world, and I've sought to find common sense ways to support their efforts to create jobs and strengthen the economy. Now, we've seen the great impact these companies have